right now. It just went live. So, oh, I guess we can do things now. This is interesting. Instagram has some new settings that I am just now discovering, y'all. So, apparently I can give a title to my video, which is awesome. I might also be shadow banned. Did I come up for you?
No.
I'm going to do it again. Okay. As we work out these technical difficulties, Tension with Intention, episode 2 with Miss Lee Kink. And we are going live on Instagram. There we go. Yay, here we are. Now it's normal.
Okay.
There we go. Oh, it's normal.
I found you.
Okay. I gotta turn on my computer. There we go. Okay. We are inviting Miss Lee Kink in, y'all, and we will get started. Hey, great everyone on Instagram. And just as a reminder before we get started, welcome to the second official episode of Tension with Intention, and we are going to chat with Miss Lee Kink today about some amazing opportunities that she's created within the pink space for people of color, but also some general topics. You know us, we are going to make you a little uncomfortable with the things that we talk about, but that is the nature of the game, and that is us engaging in this work together as a community. So,
me, uncomfortable? Sounds like me.
I know. It's like, what are we talking? Yes, we are going to definitely be making people uncomfortable. And you're a genius at that, much more than me, and maybe in different ways. We do it in different ways, but I just always have such amazing conversations with you whenever we share space, and you're again one of the other people who I'm like, we need to be having these conversations and be engaging in on a larger scale with more people in the community. So I'm super happy that we get to be here and discuss things together today.
Yeah. I was like seeing what people say. And talking about shit like this.
Yes, of course. And let me try can everyone give me a quick test of whether on Facebook or Instagram if we sound okay to you? I might actually switch us over to the other sound because I want to be able to hear you more. And I don't hear you as much. Can you try switching to computer sound?
Okay, so both of us should?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to try. I'm going to try something really quick. You sound good? Yay, okay. Oh, I don't think we're doing it. Oh, no. I don't think it's going to work. Yeah. We're going to have to go back. Okay, I'm not going to mess with it. We're going to just do phone. I'm just going to hear you over there. Okay, so starting off, I want to just get started because, as you all know, on Instagram, we only have 60 minutes here. If we go past 60 minutes, make sure you find me on YouTube, or you can find me on Facebook at the Rope Witch. Also, the Rope Witch on YouTube, and you can watch a little bit of extended like after show continued conversation. But right now, we only have 60 minutes on Instagram. I know that's where a huge bulk of you all who are tuning in are watching. So I want to be mindful and make sure we get all of the good information out to you. in a timely manner. So first and foremost, I want to say hello to everyone. Be sure to drop your questions in the comments, and we will get them as we go. But I first just want to start off with just striking while the iron's hot and talking about this amazing series opportunity that you posted this past week and that has been circulating over Facebook, over Instagram, over FetLife. And so I would love to hear a little bit from you in your own words, what it is, telling people about it and how this idea came into fruition for you.
Okay, so what it is a suspension series, because suspension isn't something that really can be tackled in a one-class kind of setting. So this series I actually did for Austin Rope Slingers last year, which was a 6-class series over kind of a 3-month period. And every class was every 2 weeks. So it gave people the chance to kind of practice the skill that we did in between those 2 weeks. I wanted to offer this class to the Black identified people of color. And I originally thought, it's like, well, I teach for free. And then I realized that there was quite a lot of financial hurdles that had nothing to do with just being able to attend the class. So that's kind of why the class to take will be free, but also time parents will be provided with their own suspension kit with rope, carabiners, a nylon webbing, like everything that you would need to do a suspension is going to be included within that suspension kit as well. And I know that there's been some questions about like whether interracial couples, or if there is a Black person and a non-Black person in the same time pair. And for this go round, I've said no, that I think it's important for both people within the time pair to be Black identified. So yeah, that's essentially what it is. Kind of, it came around from this idea. I've heard dumb things in the past being said at Rope Lab of not necessarily with just Black people, but also with the Hispanic community, because I live in Austin, Texas. There's a very large Hispanic population. Well, we just don't see a whole lot of Hispanic people here at Rope Lab. I guess Hispanic people just aren't interested in rope, which is bonkers. And for me, it kind of also applied to like the Black community as well. It's like, if you don't see a lot of Black people doing suspension, it's because they just must not be interested, which is bullshit. So yeah, this kind of suspension series is meant to just try and offer things in a more equitable state. I also fully realize I am not the most qualified person to teach this suspension series. My long-term hope would be for a Black identified person to feel comfortable to be able to teach this series and not me. I'm not Black identified. I am not qualified for to be able to talk at all about the Black experience in rope, particularly with suspension. I can teach the technical aspects of rope, and that's a little bit my hope. Not that people have to join to or be a part of this series just to potentially learn how to present and take over. But I also want to be really upfront with me knowing that this is that I am not Black, and so I don't know how else better to kind of phrase that. I'm just kind of floundering. No, help me.
I think what we've talked about and also what came through, and this kind of feels super to one zone. because Sage asked, do you use BIPOC as an acronym for Black identified people of color? I think that's really great. I use it as Black Indigenous people of color, but I guess it could be both as well. And so I don't know if that was the question, if that was relevant, but also at the same time, I get what I think that also is trying to be, what is meant to be said here, and something that I really want to address. As someone who's like going to also be just like speaking in this forum, in this class of about the Black experience in rope. I think that this is much more. This goes much deeper than just a rope class. And I also think that because your understanding and knowledge of that, it is what considers you. It's what makes me consider you qualified to run this first round, especially because you are making this possible in terms of like brainstorming the idea of how to collect the funds, make this possible for all of these people, but also the humility and the awareness that you will never actually like competently understand anyone else's experience, and pulling in the knowledge that you need to teach it. But it's that this is, especially for Black people, I like to say in the rope world that it's much more than rope. Everything is much more than rope. It's much deeper than that. But I think that is specifically true in the Black experience, and especially now as well. So I just think it goes much deeper than like just teaching someone, like, for example, going to a con and getting a class and getting a suspension or static suspension, then really the things that you are taking up with class. I think it's a completely different thing. It just goes a little bit deeper, and it not only goes a little bit deeper in terms of that, also in terms of just access, of giving people access to this, because I know a lot of the people of color that I speak to about rope, a lot of it is about access, and it's not just access about financially and like how much money they have. It's access in terms of like being comfortable, not even knowing what space on, because they don't want to see sold, and so they don't even know about the education opportunities or where you can learn about these things. And so I think it goes much deeper with providing people with a skill set, especially with the view that you were bringing up before of like people in the rope world sort of idolizing suspicion, and it be something that a lot of people of color don't learn and don't get access to, or also can't afford. And just in the view of something that we spoke about earlier this week, when Sage was on, it's just the fact that like rope is a very expensive hobby, and like taking that into recognition when we're providing spaces where it's like, yes, we're going to get rope, because that's like the first thing that we usually hear. I usually hear when people are in them to a space for education, and I figure out whether it's actually able to afford it. The next thing is like, okay, that's great. I can't practice. I don't have a rope kit. I don't have carriers. I don't have any of these things. I don't even know where to get any of these things. How do you know what safe ones to purchase, and just like access quality information?
Yes. And so I like this series because I also really try and emphasize there's a big why aspect to what I'm teaching, because like we will learn maybe 4 or 5 patterns, but it's way more important to me that people start feeling comfortable with asking, why am I doing this? Because the whole point is, God knows you will not be doing just these patterns throughout your rope journey. It's way more important that you start understanding a little bit of like, this is decorative, this is functional. How is it functional? So then, you know, there will be more education in the future. In those classes, you can make some choices about, you know, to switch this tie to be more appropriate for my bottom, I can do this. Or I know how to add an extra band, as opposed to I just know this one pattern. It's also little things like, hey, when you're in a rope class and you can't see what the presenters are doing, get up, move. Do not, well, you can feel nervous, but that nervous shouldn't stop you from getting up and going to stand exactly where you should to see what's going on. It's those little things, I think, sometimes that like nobody really teaches you until you're in it and you're doing it.
Yeah, I think it also just has a lot to do with like agency as well, just like in the world. Like we're also just not taught that it's accepted as well as people of color that are always treated as lesser than, you know, like any type of citizen to like be able to center ourselves in a space. The space is never centered around us. So half of the time, even when it is centered around us, we have no idea how to even navigate because most of us would never think to go stand in the center of a room and like center ourselves so that we can get like what we need. You know what I mean? Like most of us are never even going to fill our own needs in that way. And so, yeah, I think that it's important. That's an added reason as to why it's important to incorporate these spaces that are specifically centered around people of color because of their nature and specifically the systemic nature of the oppression and how it exists in every degree of the world, including kink.
Yes. Because like very quick like side story, kind of when I started really trying to process like my privilege within rope, it was 2 years ago at Narix where I showed up, and I'm not gonna lie, I was like, I'm queer, I'm a woman, I'm Asian. Like when anybody says privilege, it doesn't apply to me because I'm not a white cis man. And then I showed up and I was talking with some people from more rural areas of the country, and their experiences, like I went and sat down and I cried because they're telling me about these, like, I have to drive 100 miles to even tie with anybody who's interested in rope. I never have any classes. All I learned is stuff from YouTube, and then that was my moment of like, holy shit. Me as just a person with a lot of time and money is exceedingly privileged within the rope world. And that was kind of like my wake-up call for things need to be more accessible in a really big way, and you can't just discount tickets at cons. Like that's still not sane. So I do realize that where I've gotten within my rope journey has so much to do with the fact that I've been able to shell out probably close to $24,000 over the last 5 years to do it. I've been able to travel and get the education that I wanted and throw events and invite people here, but that all is like rooted like in my privilege of just like having money. And also I know it looks weird because like I'm Asian, but I have a lot of white privilege by growing up with 2 white parents and also marrying a beautiful white man. So like I kind of function in a world with having a lot of white privilege, even though like I am Asian. So it's been a fun growth opportunity in the last couple of years. Yeah, because it's not, because every aspect of suspension is there's money involved. Getting the kit, getting access to a hard point, getting the education, all of those things aren't just like $5. A lot of them are, hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And if travel is involved, it's even more than that. And so really like who's progressing the fastest in rope is the people who can pay for it. And it's a harsh reality, but like that's what it is. I will say like there is like a lot of insecurity and fear and like knowing it's like because I do self-suspension, that's kind of mostly where a lot of my rope work lies. I know that if people who were interested in self-suspension, if we all had the same time of practice, if we all had the exact same rope kit, they would blow me out of the water, because what they would be doing is, you know, amazing and speaks from their perspective, and there's a real good chance that like I wouldn't teach places because more exciting people who have learned more things about rope and are inventing new things about rope would be the ones who are more qualified to teach than me. And it's a little bit scary, but that's not a reason to not do anything. So if at some point, like, I'm not teaching anymore because the resources have been given to people who are way more exciting teachers than me, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I think that's like, I think also that's the group actually doing true heart-centered, soul-forward activism work for a group of people, especially people who've been systemically disenfranchised in America, is, and this is also something that Sage and I talk about a lot, is like the idea of working yourself out of a job. And I think that for me, that kind of affects me what I've been talking about a lot in my vanilla life, with vanilla work right now and activism work, is that there is a manic state of what's happening right now across the board of just addressing racism. And there's this, we like to call it like the white wake up. By white, I mean like Black people. They're like, it's like the white wake up, where it's like we're all jolted because all of a sudden people are like realize that racism is as bad as it is, and they're like, oh my God, this is a thing, and everyone's like starting to freak out, and then you have to deal with like the emotional brunt of like people realizing all of a sudden, and then people like wanting to check in on us and wanting to like message us and wanting to talk about it, and we're like, yeah, we've been here for quite, yes, we all have, we knew, yes, and it just gets like incredibly exhausting. But if you're truly willing, ready to engage in anti-racist racism, which is not just not being racist. Like, it's not just I'm racist or I'm not racist. It's being anti-racist, meaning you are actively working against racism. And if that's something that you're interested in doing, whatever spaces you travel in, especially Kink, it is going to be a slow burn marathon, and it is not going to be something that happens with like one Instagram post or like an event that you do, or, you know, asking someone about like how you should make a Black Lives Matter post, or with like a t-shirt that you sell for profit, or an event that you do with donations, or like whatever. Like, that's not going to be like the work. Like, if anything, that is the beginning of the work. But that is not the work. Like, the work goes a little bit deeper, and that's also why I wanted you on here today, because I feel like doing something like organizing a series like this, organizing class, organizing ways to get people, and also with the understanding like that I hopefully work myself out of this space, because I here is like how you know you're doing activist work, and work for people to be able to take up space and space for. I don't know everyone it was going to be online, so I did want you to talk a little bit more about the structure of what the series looks like.
Yes. So for the right now there's 8 maximum time pairs. 4 of those classes are going to be virtual. I would prefer in person, but you know, COVID. I really do want to cut down as much as possible that contact. So the first 4 classes are set up to talk about what I've referred to as body rope, which is usually harnesses, rope that goes on the body, as opposed to uplines. Although we will talk about uplines, we will not be suspending any person's weight, but we will talk about uplines in a way where it's like everybody grab a pot, or everybody grab a backpack or purse or something, and we will demonstrate uplines by using, like, you know, a 10-pound weight in somebody's closet, you know, that kind of thing. And then there is going to be there's 2 classes in August and then 2 classes in September. Both are on Wednesday nights and they're about 2 weeks apart. And then in October, there is going to be a weekend intensive where there will be Saturday and Sunday. In the morning, there's going to be kind of intros. And then there will be a kind of like a Black discussion group, which I will not be a part of. It will only be Black people within that group. And then I've hired you to run it for both those classes. And then in the afternoon, the first day we'll discuss partial suspension. And then the second day will be full suspension, but static suspension. So that's kind of the way that the class is set up. So I do know that there's some interest for people to attend the virtual aspects of it, but I'm only going to open it up to those time pairs because for a lot of those classes, I want to be able to like gallery view and kind of watch the pairs as things happen. And when there's 40 people on there all at the same time, it's just very difficult to kind of keep track of everybody. I also want people to feel like that they can be heard in that setting. And one easy really way to do that is just cut down on the amount of people who are there. Because if, again, 40 people want to ask me a question all at the same time or say something about what's going on with them, it just takes so much more time to kind of get through it as opposed to potentially just 16 people, 8 kind of time pairs go together. A little bit more intimate, I think. And sometimes that intimacy can really help people feel comfortable being vulnerable about what's happening. I plan on recording the sessions, but the only people who will have links to the recordings are the people who were there.
So let us know if that answers your question. If you have any follow-up questions, don't hesitate to throw them in there. Yeah, I think I'm so excited about this. I know that you told me about it before you even officially announced it. I was like hard coming up with a list of people in my brain I know and wanted to do something like this. Oh, no problem. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, so I would love to basically host a series once a year. Trying to track how much spoons I have. I think once a year is a pretty reasonable thing to try and do. I am really open to the idea of potentially down the road also doing a trans queer suspension series that we'll all do, or an interracial suspension series that happens. But for right now, I would like to focus on the Black folks within our community. So it's, for me personally, it really more depends on time and spoons for how much I can do this. I am incredibly again, privileged and lucky situation where I have some money to be able to help with this. So.
I feel like this is also a really great way to once again kind of come full circle and address, and this is just a heavy topic for me right now, so it's fine to talk about. But coming back to what type of work is your work, and back to what activism and anti-racism work looks like for you, and understanding that on Wednesday we talked a lot about donating money and the redistribution of wealth and things like that, and I think that that's for some people, but also this is a really great example of someone who wants to do action and also can provide that in some way. And I think that it also goes to show as well for all the funds that are popping up of just people who have the energy to organize these funds, people who have the energy to create these spaces and facilitate them for people. It's kind of like get in where you fit in and just be able to do the work and operate in whatever way it brings truth to you, but also sustainable to you, but not going to be like a short process. So, oh, I see the question. You want to address those?
Yes, I'm definitely open to teaching this series in other ways. Just slide into my DMs or send me an email at missleekink@gmail.com, and I'm more than happy to talk about it. A lot of stuff at the moment is kind of up in the air travel-wise because of COVID. I will say for the weekend intensive in October, I have plans A, B, C, and D for like what how I'm going to do that if, heaven forbid, we really are in like a very strong second, third wave, whatever it is, and like meeting in any group setting is not going to work out. So I do have a plan for that. I would rather not have to implement it, but we'll see. Let's see. So I think somebody who is like a black who identifies as both black and Hispanic, I think would be welcome to be a part of this because you do have a part of your identity is black. I want to be kind of delicate with how I say this, and I don't know why I'm feeling the need to feel delicate about it, but what I really didn't want in this series was 8 white riggers and their 8 like black bottoms, because for me that kind of feels kind of yucky of like, way to take advantage again of what's going on. So yeah, I said kind of right up front of like, no black tying pairs. So yeah.
That's the last one. I couldn't remember if there's another. Oh no, that was the last question.
Okay.
Awesome. Yay. So where can, what can they do? How, if people are watching this on Facebook, people who maybe, or people who find it on YouTube who don't know who you are, don't know where to find you, I'm going to be adding your little banners down for your information on it. How do they inquire with you about this?
Okay. So the 3 ways really. One of the ways is on FetLife, and I know that many people don't have a FetLife account, don't worry about it. Second way would be on Instagram. I have a story highlight. So if you go to my bio, there's a little row of like circles. One of them has basically like all of the information about this series. And the third way would be, please feel free to email me at missleekink@gmail.com. I have basically like a 2-page doc of just all the information with class descriptions that I can just shoot right back to you. So those would be kind of the 3 easiest ways, I think.
Awesome. Yeah. I put your email up there on Instagram and then on Facebook and YouTube, email and Instagram handle scrolling across the bottom. So feel free to run and follow Miss Lee Kink if you aren't already, to see everything on some amazing content. But yes, I do think this is an incredible opportunity. There are so many people who want to take advantage of this, and all that we can hope is that we can continue doing things like this. So I also just want to once again just say, even if you're like, hey, I know no one who I can send this link about this, or I'm not close enough with anyone who's a Kinkster of color that I can send this to, and that's really unfortunate. I don't see the point in reposting this on my story when I don't really know anyone who follows me that would take advantage of this. And you're still looking to do something or help. There are tons of different places that you can donate to, not to mention you don't always have to donate to a fund. You can always just donate to causes, people, or events. And I think that contacting events about desiring to donate, I think it's worth saying that what Miss Lee Kink was saying before is that like you solve problems, like give out some free tickets to your conference. But I do know in the past I've known groups of people who were going to go to a conference and had groups of their friends that wanted to go that couldn't afford it and had messaged certain events asking if they could donate a ticket or donate money. Really, it was kind of that like you really buy a ticket for someone, essentially, that there was going to be no effort or organization put into trying to create an opportunities for people who could not afford it, other than, you know, donating your time and missing classes you might want to take by volunteering. I just think that it goes into the work once again. You just contact these people, contact these places, and hold them to these standards. If this is the standard that we have for our community, if you're watching this and you're like, oh my God, this is a great opportunity, I don't know why more of this doesn't exist. Oh my gosh, she's only going to hold it once a year. I wish this could happen more than once a year. There's some people out here who could be doing things like this, contributing to things like this, and not only adding talent and time and effort, but also money to be able to accomplish things like this. So really, like, ask the questions and contact people, because I think that it will start to set a precedent in our world that we run in our low peak space, that these people are actually wanting to attend our event and making sure that things are accessible and that it matters to people who are spending their money here. And trust me, in America, money talks. And if people know that they possibly could be losing some of their income or their revenue as a result of not being inclusive, not providing equitable opportunities and spaces, they will for sure listen, even if they don't want to. So really, like, hold each other, yourself, to those standards. And this is why, you know, I'm super honored to know so many people who are doing so many amazing things in this space right now, really taking this time as an opportunity to create something. So thank you.
I also know that I definitely have plans to do it again next year. No no dates yet. But I also knew that there was potentially a possibility that people wouldn't want to take it this year. They don't. Some people know me, but some people don't. And I understand that there could be a little bit of hey, this doesn't feel right. This feels like, you're just doing this for, a performative reason. And the thing is, I get it. And the only way to kind of do things is do them more than once. Some people will potentially want to take advantage of this, and it's how you treat them in that process that is going to either prove or disprove what people think about it. Because for a con who wants to, offer, we'll give you a rope kit, we'll give you free tickets. If you come, and you only have one or two people who want to take advantage of that opportunity, and then they're like, oh, we're not going to do it next year because only 2 people showed up. It's but that's because nobody knew what it would look or feel like. So if you keep offering it, and just have it as kind of a space, and then you kind of treat the people who do take advantage of it, and they have a good time, people will utilize it, but it is a long process. It's like the One Rope 101 classes that I host, Spanish translator. Nobody who's shown up has needed a Spanish translator, but we host them anyway, because at some point, somebody may need it.
And it normalizes the idea of accessibility. I think it normalizes the idea of creating a space where you are anticipating and knowing that you're in Texas and you're in a local community and somebody come in. And yeah, they might speak English, but that Spanish might be their second or their first language, in which when they're understanding super intricate details or things about food, it might be better for them to hear it in their own language. So I love that. I think that's also just part of once again just figuring out how to interweave these things in your own way, but also creating, like you said, sustainability. It's not a fast process.
Yeah, and like the reason why I felt fairly comfortable, like starting to get into rope, was because I saw Lexa, you know, all those years ago. She was starting to learn rope, and Lexa is kind of like a woman of color, and she looks a little bit like me. She's got more tattoos, but like that helped me feel more comfortable. Like I understand that there is, it's really nice seeing people who look like you around, even if you don't talk to them. It's really weird sometimes because I do a lot of rope in Austin, and you see a lot of different folks, and I see my friends, but sometimes I'll go to cons or classes in other places, and I walk in and I was like, oh, I am the only Asian person in this room. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, that's all the time.
Yeah.
I just have like a little, it's like pop quiz. My little pop quiz that's right here in this moment. In the comments, I want to know if anybody is just on their own accord in one single comment, not like scroll, but in one single comment, if anyone can name 7 black writers. 7 black writers.
I can now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
7 black writers. Anybody can do it. Take a stab while we're talking for the next like 15, 20, maybe even 30 minutes. But take a stab at it. I'm waiting. I'll wait. I just want to know. You try, and it's kind of the judgment here, but I'm just curious if we can name 7 black writers. Like just throwing that out there, because every rope space that I go into, I'm like, I mean, I can barely. And the funny thing is it's like you said at the beginning, people always say, like, why? I guess you need to do that. That's why I was doing classes, and I'm like, how come, like, you know, these classes aren't accessible to these people, or you don't have these people in your classes? And the answer, like, I just figured the interest wasn't there. And I think that that's just completely untrue, because a lot of the spaces that I in, especially mostly in virtual spaces that I run with kids of color, they do rope. Like, that's the thing, is like, I mean, when we post pictures and stuff, it's not like they're like, what's rope? I had no idea. Like, they do rope. Like, they will post pictures of them doing rope with people. And you know, they're doing, like you were saying before, they're doing a lot of stuff that they can learn from books or from YouTube, or like ask them, like, oh my God, this is like, you know, how did you learn? It's always like, I bought a book. I was at a conference where someone spoke about rope and saw some rope. They were classes. So I went home and I bought books, or I found stuff on YouTube. You know, a lot of people know a lot of like the big resources that take up a lot of space in the community, and subscribe to those types of things, trying to learn what they can, while possibly not having a consistent bottom. But they're doing like amazing stuff. Really, the question that they have is like, I've never gotten a chance to learn suspension, or, you know, if they see a photo of me and I'm up in the air, they think it's a whole other thing because I'm being suspended. And really, it's just this very interesting thing that's happened, where I feel like in our world, the world of the people who are heavy into rope, and it's like our kink for sure. I feel like there's this, like you were saying before, putting suspension rope up on this pedestal and allowing it to be like, allowing it to be a sign of quality, of how educated you are in your rope, and how much you know, and how advanced you are. And in Black communities, what I'm seeing is just a lack of suspension, a lot of incredible creativity and rope being kinks more often, because that's what we have access. So yeah, things are almost like grass is always greener. Things that's happening this time.
Yeah. So like whether they're interested or not, because God knows you do not have to be interested in suspension at all. There is some very cool decorative rope work that's happening in the Black community, and I was like, heaven forbid somebody teaches them an upline, they're all of a sudden going to be doing suspension work that's going to be aesthetically new and beautiful. And they're going to be taking, aspects of what's already being done in Western suspension and shibari, and they're going to make it something. And we're all going to be taking their classes because it's going to be like the new amazing thing. It's just, overcoming. So I also had somebody in my DMs this week say something along the lines of, yeah, but like, I'm white and poor and I still have all of these hurdles to overcome. It's, I don't have money too. I do want to say something about that, because many people who are in the rope world and have a lot of experience, who also get, chances to go to cons and learn, a lot of them have sponsors. If you don't have the money yourself, a lot of times it's you or with the other half of your time partner is the one who has the resources to be able to fly you both to these places. The people who are getting sponsored by their riggers are usually young, very conventionally attractive white women. That, yes, you may not have money, but you still have a lot of privilege, and it's not just a racial privilege. A lot of it is also youth, and again, just being very like conventionally attractive and having a lot of like your body being able to do a lot. Like, there's still privilege even though you don't have, like, there's a lot of layers to the privilege within the rope world, because if you are also white, you're going to want to get photographed more. More photographers are going to want to take pictures of your rope work and offer to do collaboration shoots. And like, there's this, it's not just learning how to do rope. Sometimes it's also like getting your work and your art out there for people to see. Who is following you and how, like, how many followers do you have and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, there's a lot of different layers of privilege, and there's also, it affects all of those little pieces within the rope community, because again, if somebody's on FindTheBliss or on Instagram, are they even a rigger? Like, I used to say this, and I still say it because I still have this insecurity of like, if I didn't take a picture during that rope scene, did it even happen? Like, if nobody on Instagram sees me take a picture of this thing, like, what is it even for? Which, like, I've been trying to do some work of like getting myself out of that headspace, but it's who's also getting the recognition for their rope work. So
yeah, and I think that's also a good point. So where it's so good. It was actually perfect. We have about 10 minutes left, and I wanted to come is if they aren't on Instagram, are they even a rigger? And that's the real question, is like, because I know everybody in this live, you don't have to lie, it's cool, because I do the same thing, so we're all human here, there's no judgment. I mean, right, but like, I know I'm not judging you here, but I know everybody, the first thing they did was like start scrolling through the Rolodex of ID names that they know, and it's like, who do I know, whose pictures do I know, who do I see on the Instagram stories? Who is it? Yeah, it's instantly instead of, but I think also it speaks to someone said in the comments earlier, I know a lot of people that I don't know in real life, I just know them from Instagram. So I think it also speaks to the added part of like a lot of these people you're also not seeing at events. And let's be real, a lot of these Black riggers are not at these white events. So it's like if they're not at a white event and they're not on Instagram, are they even a rigger? Like, and what if they're on Instagram but they're not at the event? What if they're at the event but you've never seen them before? Yeah, exactly. It's not for them. It's like, who have I seen? Yeah, exactly. I'm like, and I really just like will take my brain back to like the hallways of cons. And like, who do I see?
I mean, here's also the thing. You know, every 2 weeks we all do a share for share bullshit on Instagram. I haven't seen people fucking sharing Black riggers or Black models.
I was gonna say I don't do that. I know you're not talking about me because I don't do that shit every 2 weeks. Nope. And like, I'll just tell you right now, I never, and I'm not trying to shit on the people that do it. More power to you. But honestly, 99.99999% of the time, I see the same fucking like 25 accounts. And like, there's no shame, but it's like, if you're going to do something like that, promote people that aren't your friends and haven't already reduced them 6 times. And I'm flattered. Y'all are posting something that's like specifically, here's a Black woman giving education. I'm like, awesome. Thank you for telling people what I do. But I'm not about to like randomly just throw my favorite selfie up there and be like, can you just repost me so I can get followers? Like, share. It's all of them. It's almost like this weird lunchroom clicky thing where I'm like, we don't all have to share the same 30 accounts over and over and over again every 2 weeks. And once again, pretend like it's making any type of like substantial and concrete change in how we're engaging with one another. But I mean, I have seen a lot of the time since this has started, and specifically being like the kid community has decided that they want to have a race conversation. I've seen a lot of people like all of a sudden start reposting a lot of Black accounts, and I've been tagged in a lot of specifically like let's talk about Black people in rope. But I want you to go find those people on Instagram. They're there, trust me. And if you need to scroll through my followers, do so. But also, there are more of them on Facebook. Go find those Black people that are doing rope because they're out there. Trust me, it's not a lack of interest. It's really just the fact that they might not be economically or in a resourced way set up to take advantage of these opportunities or to even see them coming or see them become available. So this is why I think that, and I last a minute here on Instagram before we go straight to the after show finish off. I wanted to say, share this. Share as many times as you can, even if you think that no one's going to take advantage of it, share it. Donate money to someone if you can't donate stuff. Donate the characters that you never use as long as they're still actually safely rated. Really allow people to have access to the same education as you've got and as you've received. If you're someone, by the way, I'll say also about what you said earlier. If you are on Facebook or if you're on YouTube right now, I did post a resource link of how to explain white privilege to poor white people. Because I'm still processing that conversation, and I actually just have like bookmarks links. I just like paste as if there were some people that I want to talk to. But like that, there is a really great. Created it into a PDF because so many people were accessing it, and it's just about how to dismantle the belief that white people are specifically about money or economic status.
Yeah, and I will say, like, I followed a lot of like accounts with like either Black riggers or like Black rope bottoms and models like within the past like month or so, and it's not just because it's like I need to like see Black people in my feed. It's like what they're doing is fucking amazing. It's beautiful. Like I've seen things that have inspired me to like of ways to use color, of ways to use like different knots, of black light shit, like and I will say there's this one thing. It's like, if I fucking hear anybody start being all rope elitist, not like suspension necessarily, but also just the type of rope you're working with, because cotton and nylon and synthetics sometimes are a little bit like cheaper. And I hear those, like, anything that's done with like those two types of ropes get shit on constantly. It's like, hey, you know what? Their shit is amazing, and I don't give a shit if they didn't use jute. Like, I think you're just jealous because you don't know how to work with color in that way. So that's my little, like, jute is not the only thing that makes you like a good rope top. So
that goes back to like what we were talking about the other day in terms of just like wanting to be accepted by trying to emulate what we think was Japanese culture, and people try to think that it makes you a little bit more real, more legitimate of you know, Easter or a Hope person or whatever you want to say that. And I think we both agree that's great. So in the last 4 minutes here on Instagram, I want to ask you quickly, is there anything else that you want to say that you feel everyone needs to know? Just in case people don't convert and hop onto YouTube or hop onto Facebook.
Oh, sorry, I was reading comments. Okay, so the things that I would want to say is, one, if you have any questions at all, even if it's like, where do I find more information? How can I help? Just email me at missleekink@gmail.com. Find me on Insta, find me on FetLife. I'm more than happy to engage. And then kind of like my 2 long-term goals for the rope community is, one, let's stop putting suspension on this pedestal, because you can be fantastic at rope and worthy of presenting your shit, because it's amazing, at cons, not suspension. And then the second one would be, let's start really focusing on that accessibility piece of providing spaces that people of Black people, people of color, queer people feel comfortable being in those spaces to learn, and then let's give them the resources to be able to help with that. So yeah, but those 2 things are really long-term goals. Like, we're not all gonna wake up tomorrow morning and be like, I don't like suspension. So then, like, that's just not how it is. How we do it is we keep doing floor work, we do decorative rope, we post it, we see people, and then people get jealous and they want to do our shit. That's how we like start slowly indoctrinating, like, only the good riggers know how to do this cool, like, decorative shit. So yeah.
I love that. Yes, you just like sneak it in stealthy under the radar of the ego. That's everything. And before we go, just as a result, keep us true here to the rope witch mentality. And I usually when I'm on calls, usually when I'm on Zoom or anything like that, I'm always drawing cards. So I want to use this opportunity to talk about a card and how it relates to what we guys in our last 2 minutes here. So I drew a card when we first got on here, and it was the Four of Swords. If you're wondering what deck this is, this tarot is the Modern Witch Tarot. And the Four of Swords is exactly what it looks like. It's literally like, I think they actually say this in the descriptor of the book, but the struggle is real out here. The struggle is real. You see, she's like lying down. She has these swords like hanging above her head, and the struggle is real. We have to remember that because this is like slow work, this is intentional work, this is work of dismantling a system and rebuilding it. This is not going to happen overnight. That you need to fucking rest. So like this card is literally like take a rest. And I'm sure that most of you, especially those of you who know me closely, you realize that I look tired AF today. And I am tired as fuck today. I am exhausted. Sorry, I'm live. I'm about to go live again, like I've been doing for most of the day. But this card is take a rest. That's for everyone. This includes white people. Like y'all been here a lot about what y'all need to be doing lately. And all of that is true. But you're not going to be in this with us for the long run. You're not going to be able to make this a sustainable change. You're not going to be able to continue putting the pressure on our society, on our culture to make these changes in 6 months from now if you're fucking exhausted. So don't worry yourself. Like, go to sleep, restore, and do the work. So 4 chords. That is your assignment for today. Rest, recalibrate, use discernment, and where you're putting your energy. And with that, sign off Instagram. Feel free to hop onto YouTube, the YouTube and the Facebook are in my bio. So if you're on there quickly, head over there, and we will kind of just close out our conversation in a more precise way before Instagram takes us off. But thank you so much. Miss Lee Kink's email at the bottom, also my Cash App. Any love, blessings, paying it forward, I would appreciate. And thank you all for tuning in. Please share this information, whether it's sharing the FindTheBliss link, sharing Miss Lee's page, sharing IGTV, which it will be on IGTV momentarily. Yes. So thank you. Thank you all. Bye, IG. See y'all later. Peace. Yay. Hi, IG. So now we're back. We're back on the computers. We are still here. Yay. Hi, IG. So now we're back. Oh, I'm echoing. I'm echoing because my other thing. So yes, we are back on the computer here, and back on YouTube, back on Facebook, just to sort of wrap up. But I so loved what you said. I so loved what your main intentions are for the kink community right now. And I know that we spend a lot of time, and I think we spend a lot of time in general, especially in our community, kind of explaining to people about their own privilege. And so I wanted to give you a moment as well, as intentionally, like at the start of the after show, to really, if you were speaking to people of color watching this, or places that I might share it on the internet, who are interested in this but don't know you, if there's anything you specifically may want to say to them about this space.
This is basically, I think, for anybody who has even heard of rope. So our first class, the prerequisites for that class is kind of like a single column. But even if you're like, hey, I don't know, a single column, I just saw one rope pick today, this is still for you. At that point, we will probably set up like a private Zoom call, and I can talk to you about single columns. I can get you to the point where like you can hit the ground running on class 1. So even if you're like, hey, again, saw one rope pick today, looks kind of cool, I don't have anything else, that's okay. We like, it's still like, I'm still happy to like have you sign up, and then we can maybe do like an hour or two together to just kind of get like that very like really like basic single column things. We can get that handled. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And is there so just to refresh, in case, I know this has been really long, so people might be skipping around in the video as you're watching the replay. Scrolling at the bottom of the screen, you can email Miss Lee Kink. She does have a couple of questions that she likes for you to answer, but she can also just send that to you if you just inquire and you shoot her an email and you say, hey, I'm interested in this thing, I saw you talking on YouTube or wherever. If you go to Instagram, she has a highlight specifically with all the information in it. So I would not only follow her, but I would scroll through and check out all that info, and you will also see some of the questions that you can shoot her in an email as well. So please inquire. This is a completely, and if you missed it before, this is a completely free course. You will not be paying any money, and it's really amazing to be chosen to be in this group. And when I say chosen, I mean just in terms of making sure that you are someone who really wants to benefit and take advantage, and you are able to show up for the entirety of this group. It's really amazing because you'll get your stuff. You'll get your stuff to be able to suspend. You'll get your information, your education. You'll also get resources.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's really necessary to take it is to have a Black tying partner. And for the people who are singles, who are like, hey, I really want to be into this, but I don't have a tying partner, or anybody interested, we have like a little group on Instagram of people who are kind of solos who are trying to like link up with other people depending on which location that they're in. So even if you are like a solo person out there who still wants to learn this, please still shoot me an email. When we will try to like link you up. I think the only things you really need is like an internet access to be able to do the virtual classes. And then you also need to be able to COVID risk into time with this other person on a semi-regular basis. It's kind of nice that they're 2 weeks apart because, you know, maybe if anything crops up in between, you'll know. But yeah, this series would be significantly easier, not in the time of COVID, but here we are.
Yes, as we've been saying all year, here we are. This is where we found ourselves. So
yes.
We appreciate you still doing it and even coming. I'm not even saying still because you came up with this idea during COVID. And I think it's amazing that you didn't allow that to stop you. And that's something that I also just want to take, since this is kind of like the after show time, take a moment to talk about, since we didn't really talk about COVID before, or just even opting into understanding that you're going to be tying with someone. And there's been a lot of question about like how to navigate the space during COVID, how to navigate tying, how to navigate your germ bubble and your risk awareness and all of that stuff. And I just really love that not only did you catch the wave of inspiration that has come with COVID, and I say that because like, I mean, I've been having conversations multiple times a day, every day since March with people in my vanilla life who are very, very deeply intertwined with the universe and interconnected with like the Aquarian age, and just feel like this has been a crazy ass year and shit's happening, but I'm also like super inspired and all this great stuff's happening and I'm having all these ideas and I'm like making things happen and I'm like creating all my dreams and making them come true. And so I just love that you got a bout of inspiration and didn't let this fear put out your fire, that you still were like, we're going to figure out a way to do this, we're doing it, and not using it as an excuse to like back out.
I will say, like, within the Asian community, like, one of our like little superpowers is we can get shit done and we don't have to be happy.
Yeah.
Like,
we don't have to be happy.
If you look at kind of our culture in like a lot of our childhoods, we weren't happy in a lot of it. Do you really think we all wanted to play violin like that? No, we don't. So
did you actually play violin?
I did. And why did I do that? Because my mom made me. So like there's like one of those things is you know, that idea of sitting with discomfort. I know there's a lot of Asian people out there being like, yeah, like welcome to just how we function. Like we just are discomfort because we don't need happiness to like do a thing. So yeah, like there's been a lot of like internal processing throughout this the creation of this suspension series of, you know, am I doing this for the right reasons? Am I doing this because I want to be seen as, you know, helping the Black community? Is this my white savior complex just rearing its ugly head? And at the end of the day, I kind of got to this point where it's like, is it benefiting? Like, is it helping? And yeah, I can have a lot of feelings about it, but I can also do things at the same time. I can do both. I can be fearful, I can have insecurities, and I can also do a thing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's kind of like where it is. Like,
put me notes of things you're saying because I think they're amazing. Like I love that. Yes, I can be fearful, I can have insecurities, and also just like I can feel feelings and still also like not allow that to stop me from doing the thing.
Yes. So a little bit of that is definitely being like, hey, look, whether it's wealth guilt or white guilt that I have, like I do feel sometimes bad that I have a lot of the resources, and particularly like a loving spouse who can like watch the kids, like, because it's not just money. Time is also a huge aspect of this. And like I am incredibly like privileged in this way, and there's a lot of guilt that happens within me because of that. But instead of just flailing, maybe I can use that to like do something, to do some good. Like I can feel a little bit of white guilt about it, but if I can take that and harness it and do something, I like, that's not just me being, you know, useless in this space.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Ugh. I love it just because like people, I think that's the biggest thing that I think I found with a lot of people, and like specifically white guilt, white fragility, and just the being in the space of I just don't know what to do. And I think that the hardest part for me is just understanding that, or trying to explain to people that the feelings aren't going to go away, that this is going to be something that continues to happen, and you have to be okay with having a discomfort, with being wrong, with feeling like shit, with being in a place of transition and transformation, and still be willing to move.
Yeah. There is a thing on Project Runway of like season 3, way back when. There was a moment where like 2 people were working in a team, and it was a white woman and a black woman, and the white woman was having a huge breakdown. And the black woman just like leaned over and was like, "You can cry, but you need to cut and cry."
Yeah.
And yes. Yes. This is my moment where I need to cut and cry.
That's so funny because I actually like don't even really watch that show, but I know exactly what scene you're talking about. And I don't even know why I've seen it. I don't know if it was like on a commercial, and I don't even really remember what the girl looked like, but I do remember that. I do remember like this woman of color, and I remember them doing like a team project, and she was just like, you can have feelings, you can cry, you can not eat, but I need you to like also cut and sew and like at the same time. And it's like, and some people were just like, oh, you're such a hard ass, but I'm like, that's real. Like that's realism. Like your feelings have a place here, but not in a place to keep you from being in action.
Yeah. And that's where I kind of would like to keep my momentum, is like I can have feelings, but I'm going to desperately try to have those feelings not stop me from making tangible like movement forward and keep helping. Because you know what? You can feel uncomfortable and help at the same time.
Yeah. Absolutely. The 2 things can exist at the same time. And I think that's a big problem with how many of us think these days, is we don't realize that we're living in a constant paradigm where like opposites are true all the time. Like you can be not racist and say racist things. Like you can fucking have a well-intentioned heart and still fuck up royally and be completely offensive. Like those things are just true. You can also be sorry and be sad about it. You can also be mad because your ego's pissed that you got called out, and also feel like incredibly apologetic at the exact same time. Like these things are all true, and they can be true at the same time. And I think having that freedom to be in your feelings is something that's incredibly important in this process that we're missing.
Yeah. So a couple days ago, I definitely like told like my husband, I was like, hey, like I'm doing this, and it's not anybody who's taking this class. It's not the Black community. It's not even like Bliss's role to like thank me for any of this shit, because I should be doing this because this is like just like a good thing and the right thing to do. But you're my husband, so whenever I look at you, you're gonna fucking gold star me, because I need some goddamn recognition, and you know what? That's your job.
Yeah, exactly. And that's also what I think is so amazing about like asking for what you need from certain people, and how this stuff, once again, and people know I preach about this all the time, it's like our skills don't translate, and I don't want that to happen anymore. I want us as Kinksters to notice the power that we have in all of these topics that we constantly discuss, and how they translate to our actual life. Like when we talk about risk profiles with COVID, as well as risk profiles with kink, and when like we talk about outsourcing our needs, like in polyamory, we talk about that in kink as well, like having certain kink partners and not expecting every kink partner to meet all the same needs and all of your scenes to meet all the same needs that you might want in a certain time. And I think the same goes with getting your gold star, because that's true. Like, it's not the Black community's job to look at white people or look at anyone with privilege and be like, thanks for like finally noticing us. Like, you're not going to get that from us, and expecting to get that is just going to lead to disappointment, and it's going to lead to a further rift between us. But there are people in your life who like love you, care about you, see how hard you're trying, and it's not on a societal level. You're not asking something of the system. You're like, I'm married to you and I need you to like pat me on the fucking back so I can keep going, because this is exhausting, and because my personality type really feels rewarded by like positive feedback. So it's just like, this is how I function, and this is how I can continue to do this work. And so I think it's just important to like really outsource that to the people in your life who you want to feel supported by, but don't outsource. And it's the same thing with like asking Black people what you should do. Like, what should I do about this, and what should I learn? And it's like, outsource that shit to the people who need to help you with that, not to people who have no place in that part of your process. So yeah, that's an interesting concept.
Yes. So it's you can still get recognition for the little things that you do, but you need to find the appropriate source for who is that. And look, your intimate partners should be trying to pat you on the back and give you gold stars regardless of whatever is going on. So
constantly give me the gold star. My astrological like weather in my own life is very much like, please just gold star me all the time. Or call me out incredibly harshly so that I can correct myself and then get a gold star from you. So yeah, that's totally relatable. Totally relatable. Well, I know that when we first signed on here, which was an hour and a little over an hour, actually almost 2 hours ago, because we signed on a little early to meet each other, that you were tired and that I was tired. And although I feel that we have this amazing energy exchange every time we talk, and we could always just talk forever, I want to intentionally respect not only the time of the viewers, but the time for your time, so that you can release and go do your things. And I am also going to go and lie horizontal. And so, are there any last words that you would like to leave us with before we sign off for the evening officially?
No, except for even if people have questions about things that aren't this, like I'm pretty open about people who want to come find me and ask a question. No unsolicited dick pics.
Yeah. Sad to even have to say that, but it's real. So yes, please take the notes down. You can also rewind if you haven't gotten Miss Lee Kink's email address or contact on IG. I also have my Cash App scrolling at the bottom. I appreciate any donations for time, education that we bring to the space of Tension with Intention, a space that we have complicated kink conversations for our own progress, evolution, and growth. So thank you for joining today. And next Wednesday, we're actually going to be on with Madam Posh, chatting a little bit about some stuff. I know, super exciting. So you'll see that being announced soon on the Rope Witch, Facebook and Instagram. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me as well. Thank you. Peace. Ashe, Satnam. And so it is, all things. Rest. Remember the Four of Swords. Take a fucking rest. The struggle is real. And sustain yourself. And bye.
Bye, everybody.